Hello, this is Neil again. This is video 2, and just so people know, when I load these up to YouTube, there's an upper limit to how long the videos can be, and I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I'm trying to just hover around 10 minutes because I think after 10 minutes, it may not take the whole thing. So here we go. So for the persuasion speech, I'm going to re-explain that probably in the next video, the basics, but here are some new thoughts. So this is the 15th of April, so this is halfway through the month. So I guess basically beginning now, people can post their persuasion videos, their persuasion speeches. I said I think originally that people could post until the 27th. I'd like to change that to the 23rd, 24th. So that say the 23rd. So today's again Wednesday the 15th. So this gives you a week to post the videos and to create the video and to post the video, and then that gives you and your classmates a week to watch the videos and make the comments. So what I'm realizing is that part of this process is as important and time-consuming and necessary. So you see I'm thinking as we're going. So what I'm saying, and people were very, very good at meeting the deadlines. So I'm really, for putting the videos up. So that was great. So why don't we say people have to, in order to not be late, have until the 23rd, which is next Thursday, to post their to figure out, produce, and put up their persuasion video. That way you will have from the 23rd to the 30th to watch all the videos. And again, I say again, like I said something before, but anybody who could put up their videos sooner rather than later, of course, that's a good thing for everybody. Because if someone magically, or I don't know how puts up a video this Saturday on the 18th, then we can watch the video, make our comments, be reflective about it, and then if another 2 go up on the 19th, then we can, it could be more leisurely than feeling like there's a scramble suddenly on the 23rd. Where 15 videos go up, and then it feels like it's work to have to I got to get through all this by next week. So again, I guess I'm saying I would appreciate the sooner the better, but the 23rd I'm making the deadline to not be late in putting up the video. And then again we have from the 23rd to the 30th to watch the videos, and then that will give me and then I'll be reading and processing things, and then I will have from the 30th until I think it's the 6th or the 8th to read through things and process things to be able to do the grades, to do final grades and get things back to you and such, while I'm also of course doing my other reading writing class. Okay, so we're changing the date. So for this one, it's also important in the how-to. It was interesting how people were able to use technology, and I think that served well for the how-to, being able to see people's hands, cutaways and time-lapse and fast-forwards and so forth. But for the persuasion speech, I'm going to go back to really insisting that it's one take. So just like I am right now standing in front of you talking, if I flub up, so be it, I just go on. One take, one shot, and then from watching all the videos, stand. It just works better. So it's better to be standing up, speaking to the camera where we see you, as opposed to having your face and a bust line, like crowding into the camera. And you should be, doing what we normally do in class, where you're standing there holding an outline. You can see these are my jotted down notes to make this presentation. So you should stand and do it in one shot. Ideally, what hasn't happened yet is speaking to an audience. So if you are in a household with people, roommates, family members, not just the camera person, but if there are 3 or 4 people, it would be cool and interesting and I think helpful to be making a speech to them and to us. So I'd like to encourage that if you have audience there, to just have them there for the speech. And for this speech, the outline is really, really important. For the how-to speech, the outline is important. It's the construction of the speech, but the step-by-step for many of the speeches takes care of themselves. A recipe is a recipe. one thing happens after the next. But for the persuasion speech, you again, like in previous speeches, you're constructing the speech. So it's really important to have a really good outline and to send me your outline as soon as you post the speech. That's the way it's supposed to be. Let me just back up a second, something I didn't say in the previous video. You know, if I never get an outline from some people, which seems to be what will be happening, you know, about half the people haven't sent me outlines. So then the outline grade will be a 0 because I haven't gotten an outline. But people shouldn't freak out about that. It's just, you know, I'm collecting all the data. So people did a good job on their how-to. You get score for that. If you don't hand in an outline, it'll say 0. You know, there was no outline. I want the outline. It is important, but I also don't want people to freak out. It just is what it is. I'm just keeping track of things. Okay, so but for the persuasion speech, constructing that outline, having sources is really important for this, because whatever you're talking about, you really need to be sure. You really need to know what you're talking about. Okay, so I'm going to, I think probably in the next video, talk about your basic things, but some things I do want to say now. So we're in this new world, and of course many people may want to have speeches about the virus and the pandemic and such. So what I don't want people to do is you can't make speeches about obvious things that really, it's not a matter of debating. So like the whole thing about, you know, people should stand 6 feet apart, you know, when they're out in public. That's not a good speech. And it's not a good speech because the science is evolving, and it's not a question of what your persuasion is. It's a question of what the actual facts are. And if the science changes, then the science changes. It doesn't matter how convincing you are. And we're learning, you know, every week or so, like there's changes. So they started off saying it's not necessary to wear masks, and then later they say it's actually helpful to wear masks. So again, it doesn't matter what you would be arguing in this case, it just matters what is. And so those are the kinds of speeches that just aren't worthwhile to do. It's also, you know, knowledge changes. So yesterday, in my reading, I came upon this documentary, you know, thumbing through things, where it seemed like a conspiracy theory that the virus came from a lab in Wuhan and not in the Wuhan market, in the open air market, where initially or currently it's being seen as that the virus jumped from a cat. I think it's not really a cat, but they call it a cat, in the market to humans and such. And there was this documentary that seemed to suggest that, or was stating that there was a lab in Wuhan that was studying coronavirus, but they weren't up to proper safety code, and that the U.S. Embassy actually warned the American government, warned them that it was in 2018. And I'm watching this video, and then I checked the source, and it was this anti-communist source. I said, this is a conspiracy thing. And then 2 hours later, I saw Anderson Cooper interviewing the person from the Washington Post who's breaking that story as a factually true story. So if I had watched your video in between the two things, I would have been telling you that, well, you know, this is not a good source. And then an hour later, I'd have been like, oh my gosh, this seems like this is now a credible possibility because the sources are more credible. So the thing that I would suggest, or I think what I'm stating is, avoid these kinds of arguments. It doesn't matter. You can't make the argument, I think it came from the market. Well, I think it came from the lab. And this is an example of something. It doesn't matter what you think. We're all basing our opinions, or we're all basing our perspective on the knowledge that's coming from elsewhere. And if that knowledge changes, then our perspective changes. It doesn't really matter what you argue. So that's something that that's a kind of argument I don't want people to make. But there are lots of possible speeches that people can make in this. And I'm watching the clock there, so I'm going to cut this one, and we're going to go to video 3. Thank you.